I entered this year with limited experience on set, and though I felt comfortable theoretically talking about films I'd seen and how they were made, and how one would go about making a film hypothetically and to achieve an emotional result from said filmmaking, I was lacking the technical experience to actualise this, to go and make the film. I was also uncertain about the specific role I wanted to pursue when it came to filmmaking. I've been vaguely keen on the idea of directing, but was also drawn to editing and cinematography. I also wanted a greater understanding of the intersectionality of these parts of filmmaking, particularly on set, and thought that with a better understanding of how these things overlap, I might be clear on what I want to do on film sets. That with this knowledge, I might discover that a director's input in cinematography and editing, or a director of photography's assistance and framing, would be what I was looking for creatively. The first practical filmmaking experience I had was the filming of a Leeds jazz band's live gig. I filmed this gig with one other person, and through the planning of how we would film it, got a greater understanding of what pre-production phase of filmmaking means for someone with a more significant voice in the project. This experience wasn't dissimilar to pre-production for a director, and led me to being more keen to pursue that as a creative avenue. Filming itself consisted of a 2-camera setup, one mounted on a tripod and one hand-operated and moving, reacting to the band. The most important part of this filming experience was reacting to the band and predicting moments in the music and anticipating how we would react to them. In future film projects, I want to incorporate live improvised sequences with reactive camera work that gives the moments a degree of excitement and tension that comes from the veracity of being live and unplanned. And this experience has given me the foundation to start to explore those ideas. Now that I've done it in this limited sense, I want to and believe I can try and integrate this idea of anticipatory camera work with scripted film. I was also lead editor on this project, and although I think it was a worthwhile experience, I found limitations of the project and the fact that we were working to an uninspiring or at least restrictive and traditional brief limiting. I wanted to do more interesting things with the footage we had and simply place the clips in the order they happened and carried that creative impulse over to future projects. This experience was also key for me in learning to balance client expectations with artistic intent, and my learning that although as a filmmaker I may want to creatively realise my ambition in a particular way, this has to be meted with the client's expectations, and that if I was given for my own aims, I am unlikely to find future work. Another key film set experience for me was working on short film Magic Mountain. I worked on this film as a gaffer, and this experience was key to me realising that direction, not cinematography, was what I wanted to pursue in filmmaking. Although my official role on the film was gaffer, I was involved heavily in all aspects of the film, coming on early in pre-production and being involved in post-production as well. I came onto the film early and was involved in discussion with the director around all aspects of the production. I was on set and assisted in pre-production, and this gave me the space to reflect on and realise that what the director was doing at that point was what I wanted to do on future projects, and that I was most likely to feel creatively satisfied if I were directing. On set, I was asked for input by the director and relished the opportunity to give my creative input wider than just the lighting. My close working relationship with the DOP on this set reaffirmed my want to direct, especially when talking about the motivation behind the lighting and how the film could be alternatively approached if a different person were directing and wanted to demonstrate. Following my renewed interest in directing, I attended London Film Festival, and while there sought out talks with directors specifically to learn as much about the role as possible. The first of these was Steve McQueen after watching a screening of his film Occupied City. The film is nearly 4.5 hours long, a point brought up several times in the Q&A session after the talk, and hearing Steve McQueen talk about what seemed most important was the singularness in his vision, that when he was challenged on the length of the film, and some audience members suggested he cut the film down for a more accessible experience, he repudiated the idea and didn't waver from his original artistic vision. I've been for a while wondering about the balance between audience reception and a more individual idea of what the creator gains from making their art, and while, as mentioned, in commercial work you have to work to briefs, it was revitalising to hear a great director reinforce the idea that art has to be singular and that you have to make the decisions you think or you know are the right decisions, even when other people will immediately ask why you didn't do it another particular way, especially if you're attempting to be challenging or unconventional with the form. I also gained material experience directing through a test shoot that accompanied my pitching material for the BA3 film. With a DOP and actor, I did a test shoot producing stills and short video based on the script I was hoping to produce for BA3. As well as being helpful for pitching, this was useful a useful experience in working with actors and how I can effectively combine with a DOP with their own sense of the material to create a worthwhile film. It's particularly useful to work with a non-actor in this case, as their limitations require more of you as a director. Working with non-actors is an avenue I want to explore in the future, so I'm glad to have this experience as a foundation to go out and do this more. To further my interest in directing, I attended a talk with Jonathan Glazer, hosted by Alfonso Cuarón. This talk again reinforced the idea of singularness in art, also gave me a great insight into how his career as a director progressed. That by starting in music videos, adverts, and smaller scale creative projects, he was able to demonstrate a clear artistic voice, and that by making interesting choices directorially in these projects and ensuring he as a filmmaker came across as a clear and unique presence, despite the constraints of what he was making, he was able to garner enough respect to access the space and freedoms to make films he could take risks with and do interesting, unconventional things in, culminating in Under the Skin and Zone of Interest, two of the most impressive films of the 21st century. Having gained a confidence in the need for experimenting to further myself as a director, I then realised I need to understand the career path, and specifically how to go about getting films made after university, and the step between the scale of films I'm involved in now and realising the large vision of scripts I write that currently feel unfilmable. To alleviate this, I attended the headed by BAFTA Connect director Georgie Cohen-Turner. Through this course, I gained a greater insight into on-set procedure and specifically how to balance directorial improvisation on set with scheduling and set procedure, which has given me the confidence to direct projects now. My projects now. It also gave me valuable insight into short film funding, providing examples of funds that would provide a great boost to my projects I'm currently in the development stage of, and how to approach the application process with specific examples. At the start of the year, the thing I was most nervous about when it came to leaving university was falling out of filmmaking. Their lack of resources and understanding meant that once I'd left university, I would have no idea how to get films and projects I wanted to make off the ground, and that I would get stuck in a cycle of having missed opportunities to make one, that I would continue to make opportunities and not get the chance to realise this passion of mine. Now, however, I'm feeling confident about the idea of making films. I think I have the base understanding and knowledge to make the things I want to make, and I'm excited to future projects currently in development, which I think I will get to realise soon.